guys, it's Joanna from Nesting Story, and today I wanted to talk to you about my twin pregnancy and the financial impact it had on us. But because of that journey, we have climbed our way out of debt and learned how to change our spending habits. Thank you to Interact for sponsoring this video and working with me to tell this story. Interact is about owning your world and paying with the money you have, which I really value and has been a part of my journey out of debt. I'm really excited to tell you this story because this is a story of how Mike and I handled having a curveball thrown at us, and we really had to figure out how to manage debt and finances and to work our way through a time that was really unknown and uncharted territory and very scary for us. So I want to kind of set the scene, the financial scene, and the history of our family. So when Mike and I first got married, we each had steady full-time jobs. So I worked out of the home as an interior designer. That's what I went to school for, and that was my job. We got married, we moved into our house, and we were able to really save a lot for the down payment of our home and manage the payments that we had to make each month. Fairly quickly, about a couple years after we got married, we had our first child, and I was desperate to be a stay-at-home mom. So to leave my job, we actually bought some investment properties and really worked things out to make it work for me to be home. After a few years, we were realizing that that combination wasn't the best for our family. I wanted to get back to work, and we didn't love managing properties. So we sold those, and I went back to work almost full-time out of the home. After a couple years in that work situation, it was actually very toxic. I knew I had to go. I was very stressed and anxious, and Mike was so supportive, and I wanted to run my own business. We had moved during that time of me working for that company, so our mortgage payments were bigger, but we decided to take the leap and I would leave that job because it was just not a good situation. I needed to put my mental health first, and I had to get out of that situation. So I left that job. It was a bit of a scary time. So I started my own company, which was Nesting Story. It was an interior design company and a mural painting company, and I loved it. It was a slow start to get going. After about a year or so putting a lot of work into it, I was starting to get one client after another, and I was starting to bring in a second income again, which was really great because things were tight. Just as Nesting Story was bringing in a second income, boom, we found out I was pregnant with twins. On one hand, this was so exciting. We had been trying for a while to have another baby, but on the other hand, it was really scary because I was so sick and I couldn't stand on my feet for 8 to 10 hours at a time that I was doing painting these murals, and I had to shut down Nesting Story, at least put it on pause. So I spent so much time during my twin pregnancy on the couch just growing babies. Although our twins thrived during my twin pregnancy, my body took such a toll. It was so hard on me. Everything from I would get a racing heart when I go up the stairs and almost black out all the time, to excruciatingly painful hips and Braxton Hicks. So I basically just stayed on the couch with a pillow between my knees and was housing these babies. It really got to a point where it was very difficult to parent our older kids, Holden and Bo, and do simple tasks like prepare a meal or clean up our home. It was just getting harder and harder. And so we got to a point where I really needed help. We put up our white flag and we took in a lot of help from family. They were great. We had meals brought to us. They helped us take care of our kids as much as we could. But finally we got to a point where we needed extra help. We had to have a cleaning service come in fairly regularly to help me clean the house. We had to find some extra childcare to put Bo into, who wasn't in school at the time, and also a nanny near the end to help when I had the babies, just with that transition. And even with ordering in, although a lot of people dropped off meals, I couldn't prepare food. I would go to prepare a meal and the pain would just set in and I'd have to go lay down. So we spent a lot of money on prepared meals and takeout, and it was just, our budget and our accounts were just hemorrhaging money, and we were getting in more and more debt, and it truly was a survival mode at the time. Mike and I basically knew that we just had to get through this period of time, and our number one focus was to bring these healthy full-term babies into the world, and then we would dig ourselves out of debt after. So the day came. I actually did carry my twins to full term, so 37 weeks, 4 days, full term, 5 days in the hospital with them after my C-section, and they were able to come home with me. So I did that job. After the dust settled and I got home and I was creating my routine with the 4 kids, Mike and I both kind of turned to each other and realized that we had put ourselves in a lot of debt during that time. So I find that getting out of debt has been a journey for us, and I actually also realized that it's taken the years after having our twins and really managing my business that's been building up again since to really learn how to budget, how to climb your way out of debt. It's taken us these years to really learn how to own our world and take control of our finances. And I have a few tips for you of what I've learned along the way. And this continues to be a journey, but we're making a lot of progress. So one thing I find is I stick to my agenda each week. I really plan out our week of meal planning, and I have about 5 to 10 recipes that I know our family does love, and I just put them in a rotation and I meal plan ahead of time. And I really think about what I have on my plate each day in terms of work or if I'm going out when I do these meal planning, so I'm not wasting food. I know that every Thursday Mike and I have date night. So something we've done recently, we used to always order in pizza because it's pizza night for the kids and they love that. And that was the one night they would be able to have pop. So we would order the pizza, but then we started to look at how much money that ordering the pizza was. So I've started to work in my Monday grocery shops. I buy a frozen pizza and a few pop cans for Thursday, which is about a quarter of the price I was spending on ordering pizza, and it does not take that much time to prepare. Another big way I love to save money, I pay for almost everything with Interac Debit. This is a convenient way to pay. I don't like carrying around a lot of cash, but I know in the moment I've paid for it and I don't have to worry about that later. And for me, that gives me such peace of mind to know that I've already paid for that item with the money I have, and that's huge for me. So when it comes to grocery shopping, shopping for clothes, almost everything for my weekly purchases, I do pay with Interac Debit. Another big way I find I can save a lot of money, and this is something if you've been following along for a while, you know I do. I try to stay away from just mindless shopping and just walking around malls, and especially when it comes to clothing. What I do twice a year, every spring and every fall, is I overhaul my wardrobe, I get a whole bunch of magazines, and I doggy ear them and rip out pages and find looks that I really love, and then I pull out all my clothes, I see what I can work with, and I make a list of all the items that I need to fit in there to create these pieces. Then I go out and I spend a whole day shopping in person. I still tend to shop in person too. That's the other thing. I try to stay away from shopping online, but I go out and I get everything I need for that season at once, and I don't mindlessly shop throughout the year. I purchase barely any extra items between those 2 big shops, and that saves a huge amount of money. And the best part is you know ahead of time that it will go with the outfit you have, and that you love what you bought. You're not just kind of buying things out of boredom or to fill a hole. So today we are getting really, really good at paying off any kind of debt we incur first, paying ourselves first, and making sure before we spend our money that the money's there in our account to pay with Interac Debit, and we are just much more mindful of checking in and not allowing ourselves to slip into that kind of survival mode again. It was necessary when I had our twins. It had to happen, and I'm really glad it did because it really helped me focus on growing our healthy babies. But today we tried to really be mindful every week of planning and how much we spend and making sure that before we spend anything, the money's there. Thank you to Interac for sponsoring and collaborating with me on this video. I'd love to hear your stories below to hear how you've taken control of your finances. Head to the link below to learn more information about Interac Debit. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love for you to subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.